press conference.
Oh yeah, did you?
Incredible.
How was it?
I don't like watch all of these things.
Right.
I follow the news obviously, but it's a simon that we don't know what these humans are going to accomplish. But it's a simon that Hashem is showing what can be.
What can actually happen?
Like the U.S. president saying that all Palestinians are out. Like. Oh, okay.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, thank you for the heads up.
Yeah, I gotta give you the heads up. Yeah, it's it stays that way. This. How are you? You doing? Good to see you.
It's amazing what's happening with Trump. And,
We were just talking. We were just talking about it.
Latest thing is he said he wants to make Gaza America now.
Yeah.
How awesome is it?
Be careful. We're not that bad.
We're being broadcast.
Yeah, we're live. Yeah. I like that. Good, exactly. I was hoping that. Dr. Parker. We are back. We're back.
You mean we're
Back. You know, we haven't had Tuesday nights. We haven't had
How long?
Shaar HaGan for like 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks, I think. Yeah. Sleepy.
This year's like a red-headed stepchild.
Yeah. Let's get back in the action. We'll get back into it.
Jack, what was the list?
It's either 4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
Really? Not much more, no?
Hopefully maybe it's more. Because that way it doesn't say
No,
January.
it's more.
Yeah, it's more.
Much more.
No problem. Maybe being defensive or revenue. That's for long.
That's how much we want?
Yeah, 100%. It's been a little while. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. You know what? Said Adam makes the heart go punch. Actually, I'm asking to make the heart go punch. Yeah, this year hasn't been a while.
A few months.
Yeah.
never started the same.
No.
We'll discuss a few times. Yeah. One day I'll start.
First, I want to thank the Parnosim of the month, Sue and Rob Weinberg, and Josh and Melissa Weinberg, the Ilui Nishmas, Naftali Ben Svi, the Neshama Shavli, and all family Shal Simcha Nachas and Bracha. It's been such a long time, I think, since a little bit past Yontiv, I don't even remember. Baruch Hashem was mostly a streak of Simchas this year, every Tuesday night, and that was Eretz Yisrael. So hopefully we can resume some sort of a regular mahalach. We're in a good place. We left off in a good place, and we're resuming in a good place. We're in Sefer Das HaSfiros, on page Pei. Das HaSfiros. And as I've said many times since we began this Sefer, that it is a wonderful Sefer, but it's missing a certain neshama that we're going to fill in as we're moving through the spheres, Be'ez Hashem. We're talking about the highest of the spheres, the sphere of Keser. Keser is that mimutza, is in between. That is that world that stands in between the Ma'atzil, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Netzolim, the Creator and all that Hashem created. Keser is that link between those two worlds, and within the person, it's the connection between the person, the observable person, each one of us who we are, and the etzem, the essence of who we are. Keser is in between the person that is walking, talking, breathing, davening, learning, mitzvahs, eating and sleeping, and so on, and the etzem of who the person is. The Keser itself, as we've been learning, is a makif. It's an or. It's a light that's not mugubal. That's not restrained or constricted by this world, and therefore, it's something which is lamal mitam medas, which we're going to be learning more about. It transcends the intellect. It transcends emotions. It transcends the intellect. It's higher than chachma bina das, than the intellect. It's higher. It transcends Chesed, Gvut, Tefes, Netzach, Chayid, Yisod, and Malchus. It's the pnimius. It's the essence, the pnimius of a Yid. Now, what we were learning back then, when the last shir, was that there are what's called the three moichin of Keser. The three, for lack of a better term, the three levels of Keser. Ratzon, Oneg, and Amunah. Those are three very, very, very important words. Ratzon, will, desire. Oneg, delight, pleasure. And Amunah, faith, trust, and so on. On the calendar, these times, these madrigas of Keser, at the time of the Yemei HaRatzon, correspond to Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Elul really is a time of Ratzon, and Rosh Hashanah is Oneg, and Yom Kippur is the centerpiece of our Amunah, where our Amunah comes from on the calendar. And these three levels of Keser are beginning with Ratzon, the Chitzonius of Keser, and as you go to Oneg, delight, pleasure, Pnimius, and then finally to Amunah, which is really the Atzmius, the essence of the crown, of that world of the crown. And when you learn about any of the spheres, you have to first understand what the spheres are in the world. And here it's a very, very watered down introduction. There's so much more. But just an introduction to each of the spheres. And then to understand what is Keser in creation in the world, what is Keser in the Nefesh, in me, what is Keser? And then in terms of my avodas Hashem, what does it mean to serve Hashem in a way of Keser? How do I serve Hashem in that way that's called Keser? So everything is always in the world, in the state of creation, me as a person, my nefesh, my soul, who I am, and then what do I do with this? How do I serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with this midah of Keser? Which is that area which is really what the Ramak is focused on more in Talmud Dvarim. Which is traditionally learned during the time of Elul and Tishrei. I mean, we learned all year round, but especially during the time of Elul and Tishrei. So we're on page Pei. We're just going to start where it begins Ratzon. On page Pei, Ratzon. So again, Ratzon is will and desire is the chitzonius. It's called the external region of Keser. Ratzon. And we'll explain that as we go along. Why is that external? Why is Oneg more internal? Until finally, when you get to Amunah, the Amunah is essential Keser. So there's external, internal, and the essential Keser, which is Amunah, which is faith. I'm not even sure we could translate Amunah as how do you translate that into English? It's usually translated as belief or faith or trust, but we don't need to translate. We can use the word Amunah. So Ratzon, let's learn a little bit. Ratzon. Zah Ratzon Ha'elyon. Kagod b'shas mincha b'shabbos mesgal Ratzon zeh. In terms of HaKadosh Baruch Hu vis-a-vis the world and us, in that first realm or region of Keser, creation. So every Shabbos mincha, it's a time that's called, that time is called Raiva de Raivin, Hainu Ratzon Haritzainis, Sheish Ratzon Shehu Sharashi V'Na'ala Mikol Haritzainis. When Hashem created the world, the beginning of Eitz Chaim, of the Ariya Kodesh, is Kisha'olah B'Ritzoni Yizbar. Kisha'olah B'Ritzoni. Again, we don't know. When it comes to Ratzon, we're not talking about why. Why did Hashem want to create the world? That's a conversation. That's a different conversation. Kisha'olah B'Ritzoni Yizbar. And Hashem's Ratzon was to create. So we have certain times of the year, as I mentioned before, Elul and Tishrei, and then every week, when it comes to Mincha time on Shabbos, this Gali Ratzon Zeshnikar Raiva de Raivin, V'Hainu Ratzon Haritzainis, Sheish Ratzon Shu Sharashi. Where the Ratzon of that time is Sharashi, reaches to the very beginning and the root of creation. Menal Mikol Ritzainis, the Chen Onoram Bisman Zeh, as a Bakosh of Anit Filotzi L'cha Hashem Eis Rotzi. And there are other times in life and on the calendar that are called times of Ratzin. But Raiva de Raivin is Shabbos Mincha, Raiva de Raivin. Gam Ken Matzino Eitzel Hodam. And so we see, the same way that Kivyocha with Hashem, there is this reality that's called Raiva de Raivin, where the highest and deepest Ratzin is revealed. So too, with each person. He says, Eitzel Hodam Sheyesh Lahabi Ritzanis. Every person has many Ritzanis. At this very moment, every single one of you and myself have different Ritzanis. Obviously, one right now is to learn something. There's a Ratzin, maybe to get some sleep tonight. There's a Ratzin, that's connected to a child that needs some help or some guidance. And there's a Ratzin for the child to succeed. At any given moment in life, there are many Ritzanis. Who writes a lechel, be hungry. Writes a lilmod, wants to learn. Writes a last kominei pulos vinyanim, has other things that the person has a ratzon to take care of or a ratzon to do. Nevertheless, all of these are secondary and tertiary ritzainus. There are many ritzainus, but they're not the ratzon hasharashi. It's not the raiva de raivin. It's not the raiva de raivin. The root of this person's ratzon. Elahim bitui shel haratzon hasharashi. Rather, these are manifestations or outgrowths of the ratzon hasharashi. Shemizbate b'harbe tosei ritzonos, that are manifested in many different levels of ritzonos. So, just to make this simple, so for instance, one of the easiest mashalim to relate to is the mashal of marriage. Because we see in Tanakh that Hashem uses that as his most powerful and relatable mashal. So, in the relationship between husband and wife, the husband and wife could be having some impasse in the relationship, where just for a mashal, where the husband feels that he's doing everything that he can to take care of his family, to help his wife, and to be good to his wife, and to care for his wife, and so on. And and at the same time, she is not feeling as connected as she would like to feel. And her complaint, if it would translate into language of Pnimius, of Chassidus and Kabbalah, she would be saying, I understand that I occupy an important part of your life, but I want it to be, and I hope to be, Raiva de Raiva of your life. Even though that's really reserved for God. But I was hoping to occupy at least the next level. She might even say, maybe same level. But I was hoping to be in that place that's called Raiva de Raiva. Raiva de Raiva means the following. When it uses the words here, Ratzon Sharashi. So it means that you ask a person, let's say you have Reuven and Shimon, right? So Reuven asks Shimon, what do you want? These are two friends, Reuven and Shimon. And Reuven asks Shimon, what do you want? And in fact, what he's asking is, Maha Keser Shalcha. What is your Keser? What is the Keser in your life? You ask the words, Matar Rotzeh, because Rotzen is Keser. Rotzen comes from Keser, what you want. So let's say Shimon answers a hamburger with some fries. You asked me what I want. I didn't eat all day. It's after 8 o'clock at night. I didn't have a chance to eat. I ran straight from the train to Shir, and I didn't have a chance to eat. If you ask me, so I'm telling you that my keser is to eat. So that's what Shimon says. The Reuven persists. Reuven says, no, be'emes, not hamburger, be'emes, matarotze, right? Be'emes matarotze. So the guy says, and Shimon says, Be'emes. No, we've been living in this house for the last 40 years. Had a lot of problems with the roof. Not enough room for the grandchildren to come. You asking me Be'emes? You mean more than a hamburger? I would like a new place. I'd like to be able to afford a new place to live. So that's what Shimon says. Then Reuven says, okay, listen, Shimon, we're talking about Kesser. I'm asking you, Mata would say, Be'emes. Right? Be'emes, what do you want? So then he'll say something like, I'm not so young anymore, and a couple of my friends have left the world, and one or two of them are very sick. Be'emes, that I should be healthy. That I should be healthy. So now we're moving from a hamburger, right, to a house, to health, to be alive. All of these answers are true, because he does want a hamburger, and he does want a house, and he has a rotzen for good health. All of that is true. And you might even continue on and say, Tov, you want to live, you want to be healthy, but why? Like Matarotza. She says, I want to be there for my kids. My kids need me. I want to be a good father. That's what I want. You're asking me what to be healthy, so if I'm healthy, I'm well. This way I could be a good father. So now we've already moved a little bit. We've shifted from the world of Kesser, of Nefesh, which is hamburger, house, even health. And now moving into something more sharashi, more to the sharash of who you are, which is, I want my children to be good Jews. I want my children to be good. And I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. So now we're already talking about a rotzen that's in the world of ruach. We're already moving to something away from higher than nefesh. Nefesh, which means existence, house, hamburger. And we're moving into Kesser in the world of ruach. And you could still go on and say Beseder, you want to be a better father. You want your kids to be elchi. So it's all very, very chashuv. We're talking about a rotzen in the world of Kesser. Aval Shimon Mata Rotzeh. So if we're able to push Shimon to a place inside of himself that's called Raiva de Raiva, which is really what parenting and teaching should be about. If we're able to push Shimon to that place of Raiva de Raiva, Mincha Shabbos, Ne'ilah, Raiva de Raiva, so then the person would probably pause, maybe a tear would fall out of his eye, and he would say, I want to be able to have a relationship with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I want my neshama. I want to feel my neshama. I want to be able to connect to my own neshama, to my soul. I've heard about it. I've read about it. I don't know what that is. I want my neshama and my soul back. So now we're already going to Ashrei Am Shekacha Lo. Kacha is Kesser Kol Aksarim, right? Now we're talking about the crown of crowns. Kesser Kol Aksarim. Ashrei Am Shekacha Kacha Kacha. Like when a Jew says why, he says Kacha. Kacha means Kesser Kol Aksarim. To come to a place where you get to that final question of Ma Atarotze Be'emet. Ma Atarotze. What do you want? Any Jew who's ever lived, if you persist long and hard enough, you'll get to the same answer. Makes no difference if he's mixed up with a lot of bad stuff. Could be he's selling drugs. God forbid, or he's got problems. He's Chal Shabbos. But if you keep on going, because that's the Nivai Am Shekacha Lo, eventually you'll end up in that world that's called Raiva de Raiva, Rotzen Harid Sinus. Rotzen Harid Sinus. That's the Rotzen Hasharashi, the root Rotzen. And he can't even explain it himself. Somebody can't explain why this, as we've spoken about so many times over the years, the Tanya, the way he writes about that a person whose whole life is not even observant, but he was given a choice to convert or to die. How time after time historically Jews have chosen to die, and he can't explain that because it's not something which is understandable. It's a rotzen. It's a mal limitan v'das. It's not something which is he could explain this rotzen where it comes from. Where does it come from? This rotzen. We can't explain this rotzen hasharashi. That somehow, that hidden deep within him, there is this reality of keser kol haksar. The reason that he has a problem getting to that on a regular day is because he just doesn't. No one's asking him mata rotza, and he doesn't ask himself mani rotza. It just goes like that. There's a famous teaching in Kotsk I mentioned once or twice over the years, which says by Yosef at Tzaddik. You remember when he went looking for his brothers? So he was fablonjed, right? So it says in the pasuk, "Vayimtze'ehu ish v'inei toya b'sada." Who was the ish? Remember how she says? It's the Malach Gabriel, right? So v'yimtze'ehu ish, this person, this Malach, found him. V'inei toya b'sada, and Yosef was lost in the field. Vayishalei ha'ish leimar, and the ish asked Yosef, "Ma tevakesh." What is it you're looking for? That's the pasuk. So in Kotsk, the way that the Kotsker said that pasuk is one of the amazing deep teachings from Kotsker. Typical, just one sentence, but the way the Kotsker said it was like this: "Vayimsei yush v'nei toy b'sada, v'yishalehu ha'ish leimer." V'yishalehu ha'ish leimer ma tevakesh means that a person should always, his entire life, wherever he is wandering, searching for something, he should ask himself, say the words to yourself, Ma tevakesh. What is it that you're looking for? I know you think you're looking for your brothers. You think you're looking for money. You think you're looking for a vacation. You think you're looking for the hamburger. Whatever it is you think you're looking for, the greatest lesson that the Ish taught him was Lamar, say all the time. Where he asked him, are you saying Mativakesh? What is it that you're asking for? What is it that you're looking for? Mativakesh. Mativakesh, when you're asking yourself that question, Ma ani mavakesh, you're asking Ma keser sheli. What is my ratzon? Ma ani mavakesh. What is it that I want? What's the ratzon hasharashi? So, you want the hamburger, you want the house, you want the job, you want the kids to be, all that stuff is true. But what's the ratzon haritzonos? Mativakesh. Mativakesh. Those who are anshe pnimius, people of pnimius, they live, the Kotzker says, with that question. Ma ani mevakesh. What is it that I'm seeking? What am I seeking in my life? What am I looking for? I know what I think I'm looking for, but is that really what I'm looking for? Or is that just one of my ritzinos? Because I have many ritzinos. There are many things that every one of us wants. But what is it what's the vaiva deriva? What's the rotzon haritzinos? So that's what he's talking about here. Rotzon hasharashi b'yosef adam, the rotzon hasharashi in a Jew, not in a non-Jew, but in a Jew. The rotzon hasharashi b'yosef adam, shu rotzon haritzinos, which is the vaiva deriva, b'derech klal rotzon hachayim. Now, intellectually, the person would stop there and say, no, I guess when I'm a hamburger and house, what I really want is life, to be alive. But then you ask him, why do you want to live? Why do you want to live? What's the point of your life? In a regular human being, a regular person, Jew or lahavdil non-Jew, the typical answer would be, if you get past some of the other stuff, you get to the Ratzon, Haritzinis would be, to live. I want to live. Now, because the person will usually end the conversation there with "I want to live," so Mimela, then because you want to live, you also want to have supper and a house and the kids. Right? So then that will to live, that rotzen to live, gives birth to many other ritzinos. And people are busy day and night with 1,000 different things that they want in order to be able to satisfy that final question on most lists, which is, I want to live. So that's what I really want more than anything, is to live. And a healthy person, there are people who are not well, they don't want to live. But in a healthy person, that rotzen to live. Now, in order for me to live, I have to eat. So haratzen kagon haratzen lechol and aveh b'sharish miratzen achai. The rotzen to eat, not talking about stamatayva, but you're hungry. The rotzen to eat is the rotzen to live. It comes from that rotzen to live. Lachen adam right to lahazin es atzmo. Therefore, a person wants to feed himself. Shilachias v'kid, so he should be able to live. V'kein haratzen l'nyanim ruchniim aveh b'sharasho. So now let's say we get to spiritual life. Okay, it's already a higher madrega. We're already going to something greater. Again, we're moving away from nefesh to ruach to neshama. So another person will say that I want to be able to live not only in this world, I want to be able to live in the next world. I want to have a chiyus. I want to live a life that's meaningful, that's true. Because Ruchnius goes beyond 120 years. I don't want to just live in this world. I want to be able to have a Chaim of Nitzchim. I want to have a life that's eternal. Therefore, I have decided that since I want to live beyond this life, I want to have Chaim Nitzchim, so I will do certain things that I was told, and I believe, will guarantee me life beyond this life, which is, I'm signed up on the program. I daven, I mitzvahs, I put on film, I keep Shabbos, I try to stay away from Aveus because that could, God forbid, cut me off from that Chaim Nitzchim. So I try to follow all of that. Lachein who writes a lichias b'tzur ruchanis basic Torah mitzvahs, and so on. I bring some the Misil Sharm, it's not important for right now. Chavetz Chaim Bagdom Mr. Burkasa Shaar HaGan hu mazon ruchni lenefesh. And the person understands the same way that since I want to live, that's my rotzen to live. And in order to physically, in the kesser of nefesh, in order to physically live, I want to live. Therefore, I must eat. So I want supper. I want something to eat. So Chavetz Chaim writes over there that the same way that you have a rotzen to live, and therefore you have all these sub-ritzinis of how to live physically, which is eating and drinking and sleeping and so on, so too my ruchnias. I want to live in ruchnias, a life after this life. The same way that in order for me to live in the world of nefesh, I have to have money to buy a loaf of bread, to be able to have something to eat, so that I can live. So too, I need mozen, I need food for my soul. What's that? Torah mitzvahs I need, and that will facilitate my ongoing life in a life of ruach beyond this world and even in this world, a life that's meaningful and so on. Ruchnius. Because I don't want to die after I die. I want to be alive after I die. In the next world, I don't want to die. I want to end. I don't want to end. I want to continue. So how do I continue? In order to continue on tomorrow in this world, I have to have something to eat. In order to continue beyond this world, I have to have Torah mitzvahs. That's a very simple program. That covers probably how most people think when you get them to the question, when they're filling out the questionnaire of Ma'atarotza. That's pretty much it. I'd be interesting to have that conversation with kids. And, from not little kids, but in high school. Ma'atarotza, like what do you want? And to talk about that. To use as a conversation of Ma'ativakesh. What are you looking for? I know you're looking for a girlfriend, but why? And what do you want from that? And so on. To follow it through till you get to the Rosh Hashanah of who you are. Ubem is the bottom of the page.
It'll take a long time.
What, with the kids?
Yeah.
Years. Yeah. And then they might be able to come up with some good answers because intellectually, but to be honest, to really be in that place, it takes a long time. ובאמת מוקם העבודה שבו האדם יוכל להגיע בתכלס החיבור להשם יתברך בשורש הרצון, להגיע למצב של רצוננו, לעשות רצונך. Right, that expression that we find in the Gemara, that my rotzen is לעשות רצונך. Chassidim would amend that to say, lizbatel lecha, to become you, to become completely one with you. But in the language of the Chachamim, Ritzanenu, our Ratzon is Lasis Ritzancha. I am here to serve you. We're here, we already have a person that's not just putting on film to have a life beyond this life. Or I'm not just keeping Shabbos, I should be able to have, after I die, Shabbos and Adam Haba. I'm doing all of these things because I'm mevatel myself to you, because you're the life of all life, and I want to be swept into that reality that's called the life of all life, not just my separate, individuated life, but I want to be part of that which is Chayei Chayim, Chayei Chayim Baruch Hu, life of all life, not just to obey in order to, because I want to live. After 120, I want to live. But no, I want nothing, only to be your life, to be in your life, Hashem. Again, not just Lefi Ratzon Hashem Yisbarach, but Lichyos Chaye Hashem Yisbarach. If we'll do the Chassidus form, you'll see the Lashonos are infinitely sweeter than the words that are chosen here, and deeper than these words. But the chassid in the Mesil Shasharm, the Ramchal, you know that the Mesil Shasharm is in the terminology of Nigla, even though it's all really Kabbalah, but the Ramchal wrote Mesil Shasharm to get all the misnagdim against him off his back. He had a lot of problems with them. And in order to write a sefer that everybody could learn and not feel threatened by or intimidated by. But of course, the 10 levels of Mr. Sharm and the spheres, everything in Mr. Sharm is all Kabbalah. In a way that's very, very, very hidden. But that's why the Ramchal writes at the very beginning. He encodes all that we're talking about is encoded at the beginning of Mr. Sharm, where he says L'sanig al Hashem. He speaks there about it's all about Kesher, it's all about L'sanig al Hashem. But over there in the Prakim of Chassidus, which is also Perek Yutes, in Mesil Shasharm, so there the chassid of the Ramchal, which is of course before the Baal Shem Tov, the chassid of the Ramchal is a person whose rotzen is not just to obey, but to be mevatel himself completely to Hashem Yisbarach. Not just to get the prize, the reward. Therefore, the Ramchal describes the life of the chassid. The life of the chassid is mischased in kind of Chazal say, mischased, above and beyond the call of duty. Not just what's required of him to be able to get the pass into the next world, into life beyond, but it's the Ratzon Hashem. It's a chassid, mischased in kind to be bottled to Hashem Yisbarach. Like as much as tziv all of a pile. The chassid is seeking Dveikus B'Hashem, Bittul Hashem, to be bottled HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedin Vasis V'Soincha. The same way Hashem says, we say about Hashem, Ahavta Yisoni Ratzisa Ban. Ahavta Yisoni Ratzisa Ban. It's a different world. Ahavas Hashem, Ratzisa Ban. Ratzisa Ban. It's not something which is explainable, Seichel, that I can explain. It's Ratzon, Haritzoin is Raiva, the Raivin. Ahavta Yisoni Ratzisa Ban is the final question. Which I mentioned to you once over the years, or twice maybe over the years, that it happened in the chutzner of I think it was the Rebbe. It was the Rebbe Maharash from Lubavitch. anyway, the two sons. His two sons were having a back and forth about what's the difference between a Yehudi and an Ein Yehudi, between a Jew and a non-Jew. Because because they saw that in the court of the father of the Rebbe, there were Jews that worked there and there were non-Jews that worked there. Very, very simple and plain people. And the brothers were having a conversation. And the Rebbe, I believe it was the Rebbe Marash, heard them talking about it. And the Shabbat and the Razah, they were talking about it. And he called the boys over. And he said, "What are you discussing?" So we're discussing. They try to understand. So what's the chiluk like between a Jew and someone that's not Jewish? They saw peasants, plain people. They're not talking about tzaddikim. They understand something different, but stam yid. So the Rebbe said, "Go to the stable and tell Ivan, who worked in the stable, the guy, tell him to come here, that I want him." So the boys went and they brought Ivan. And the Rebbe said, "Ivan, how are you?" He says, "Fine, Rebbe, thank you." He says, the Rebbe said, "Ivan, can I ask you? I just want to ask you a few questions." Sure. So he said, "Ivan, tell me something. Are you happy working here?" He says, "Yeah." "You feel you're treated nice?" "Yeah." So he says, "So, Ivan, what is it that why do you work?" He says, "What I work? I work so I should be able to make a couple of rubles a week. That's why I work here." And why do you want to make a few rubles? Why? He said, "I want to make a few rubles. I should be able to get myself something to eat." And the Rebbe says, "Good. Well, Ivan, why do you want to eat?" "Rebbe, I want to eat so that I should be able to live." "And tell me, Ivan, why do you want to live?" "I want to live." Rebbe said, I can be able to go on a Motzei Shabbos. The guy says to go to get from the bar, and to go with my chaver and to drink and other stuff. So he said, "Good, thank you, Ivan, very good. We gave him a little coin, sent him away. He was very happy." So then the Rebbe said to the boys, "Go and bring Yankala, who worked in the kitchen, the Yid." So Yankel comes. He says, "Rebbe, is everything okay?" He says, Yeah. I just want to ask, are you happy? He says, "Yeah, I'm here many years. You like working?" "Sure, Rebbe, it's a covet to work here." He says, Why do you want to work here?" So I work here. I work here so I can make a living. "And why do you want to make a living?" "So I have to have what to eat. I have to take care of myself and my wife. I try to have what to eat. And why do you have to eat?" "I eat so that I should be able to live." And Yankel, why do you want to live?" So it says in this sefer that and Yankel was quiet. And he gave like a heartbreaking curse. He says, "What should I say?" He said, "The day was I want one day to be able to really serve Hashem's Baruch. I want to be a Yid." So he said. So he said, "Beautiful, Yankel, beautiful." And then the Rebbe said to the two sons, "You're arguing the difference between the simplest Jew in the world and between Ivan and Yankel. You just have to ask the right question. And you keep on asking. And you keep on pushing. Eventually, by Yid, you get to that krechs and why do I want to live? What's the purpose of my life?" Ramzan is to daven, to keep mitzvahs, to be a Yid. That's the purpose of my life. You always have to go to the last question. That's really what it means to teach, is to get to that question. But usually in a regular day that you're learning Elam Mitzias, the Gemara doesn't have that question. But the rabbis have to get to that question. Of course, you have to word it in the right way, and you have to teach in the right way. But to get to that place that's called Ratzon Ritzayin is to get the Rive, and that's what it's about. So he says, Zebechinis ben klape aviv. Shemekaymes v'tzoynoi. The child, the son wants to know, what does my Father want? It's not just about it's not about what I want. What I want more than anything is to know what my Father wants. That's what I want to know, what my Father wants. Therefore, the Zohar Kodesh makes the chiluk in Parshas Bahar between a ben and an eved. And we know that the eved, the servant of the king, is satisfied to get what his place to sleep and to eat and so on, whatever that's. But the ben, the son, he's the way the Zohar says, he wants to see what's been Ginzayed the Malka. He wants to see inside of his father's treasury. He wants to see like his father's hidden life. What's there? It's a different. He wants to be connected to his father. It's something else. It's Rotzen Haritzainis of a Yid is Lasis Ritzeincha. Therefore, we see that by a Jew. As I mentioned before, that Tanya talks about, that the Jew is ready to give up his life. With a regular person, what he wants more than anything is Ivan wants to live. And that's the tachlis of his life, is to live. And then, because this way I can have a drink and whatever, relax, if I have a good life. But the tachlis is to be alive. But we see that throughout time, Jews have given up their lives to be Jews. Given up their lives to be Jews. And how do you explain that? Since you would think that the biggest rotzen is to be alive. That's in the world, that's true. But by a Jew, there's something inside that's called Keser Kol Aksar, that's the highest rotzen. Now we're going to go into Oneg, into Emunah. There's something deeper in a Jew. There's something deeper in a Jew. That's why a Yid, if he gets to that part of who he is, he can get past any of the suffering of this life, anything that he loses. His whole life falls apart. He loses his money. He loses, God forbid, his family. He has nothing. There's no such thing. Because there's always that Keser Kol Aksar. If you don't get to that point inside of yourself, you lose your money, you could be finished. If they take away your hamburger, you could be finished. Forget about your life. If you don't get your hamburger, you can get crazy. But when you live with a connection to Pnimius Haratzin, Ratzin Haratzainis, and then Tanug, then the Tanug of a Jew is to die Al Kiddush Hashem is a much bigger Tanug, infinitely greater Tanug than to be alive. The pleasure of dying Al Kiddush Hashem, which the Beis Yosef said his whole life he was hoping to be able to do. It didn't happen until he died. He died a natural death. But he said he was hoping that he wanted to leave the world like Rabbi Akiva. Wow. That's Gavaldi. Which we have a Kabbalah from the Torah. When a person is killed, Al Kiddush Hashem, he doesn't feel any pain. Just put that in the Torah. Galamukas L'Shal Kodesh Tzadikim say this. There's a Kabbalah like that. You don't feel pain. That instant of death is a Tanug Elyon. Something you can't understand in Seichel. Because in Seichel, the last question is, what do you want to live? But here they're taking away your life. But there's something greater. Rabbi Yehuda Zehu, the Kevin Shadam Higil Lamatzu Shevitzanein Lasus V'Sonra, Vanisha Tachlis Erotzen Shlo. The Raven is Lasus V'Tzani Yisbar. The Meila Ha'adam Shitzlich LaHashish B'Kibur Shezei Yesh Sherish Erotzen Shlo. He's able to live with this, and connect to this Rotzen Ha'elyon. The Meila Rotzen Zem is Garbel Rotzen Ha'chaim Shlo. That Rotzen is higher, it's deeper than the will to live. It's higher than the will to live. It's higher than the will to have a good life, to have money, to have what Ivan wanted with his life. It's higher than that. Therefore, he wants to give up his life. He wants to die. Yitzchak Avinu wanted to die by the Akedah. See, he wanted to die. He wanted to be able to have that opportunity to give up his life. Living was a disappointment. Because the deepest Ratzon is Lasais Es Ritzayin Hashem. And then that's all of that is all that we're talking about so far is only called Chitzonius of Keser. Once we go to Oneg, then we're talking about Pnimius, and then when we get to Emunah, we're talking about Yechidah Sheb'Nefesh, Pnimius Sheb'Pnimius.